I've seen like a lot of theories about the the Death of Slim Shady album over the internet. A lot of them, and I'm not saying some of them are wrong, but they are. I mean,
Okay.
it's a theory after all. We don't know for sure until Eminem can say something about it, if he says something about it or not. But I'm gonna say for sure that the theory about the backwards listening to the album backwards, it's another story or something like that. It's bullshit.
Okay.
That's bullshit. You can't listen to this album backwards because it doesn't make sense. Some songs has transition between first and the second
Yeah.
one, and backwards it wouldn't make sense
Yeah.
at all.
It's true. It's true. I mean, those transitions aren't there for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. You can listen to it backwards. It doesn't make sense backwards. But the title, The Death of Slim Shady, I personally think it's bait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slim Shady doesn't die. And the album isn't meant to be played in reverse. It's just a loop. You have to listen to it in order for it to make sense. And after it finishes, you can easily go back on the first song. It reinforces the things. Basically, the album is like a reoccurring nightmare. Because he even says that, like in Guilty Conscience 2 and some other songs, he wakes up
Yeah. Multiple times.
multiple times, and it's basically a nightmare, and it's always going to be a nightmare. And he also said in some of the songs that basically he always struggled with Slim Shady as an addiction and stuff like that, so he couldn't get rid of him. And okay, stay with me. I'm gonna try to explain why I think Shady is not dead, and it's actually Eminem who's gonna be dead in this album. And I'm gonna have like lyrics and references so you can make sense out of what I'm saying. Now the album starts with Renaissance. There's people thinking that Eminem spits on Shady's grave, but it's actually Slim Shady who it's either buried Eminem there and spits on his grave, or it was the grave of Slim Shady that he gets out of it and spits on his own rock that he says the name of it. But I think it's the first one.
The second one would also make sense since Renaissance means like rebirth. So like he came from the grave back.
Yeah. So yeah, the Renaissance means rebirth. But I still think it's Eminem who's buried down and Slim spitting on his grave. Because basically the song starts with Slim Shady singing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna tell you later why I think this. Okay, in Habits, you hear Slim tying up Eminem and forcing him to take a pill named Ativan, a drug used for treat disorders like anxiety and epilepsy. And still in Habits, you find out that Slim is basically an addiction for Eminem and can't get rid of it, or it's very hard to get rid of it. Then it goes into Trouble. You can see how Slim Shady basically takes control over Eminem and forcing him to drink. And at the end finishes with When You're Gonna Realize That We Need Each Other. After that, Brand New Days is basically Slim Shady song. And if you didn't know how dark it is, it's about Christopher Reeves that had an accident and got paralyzed during equitation. So horse riding. He died in 2004 when Eminem wanted to actually release the song, but we found out about this later in the album. And you can literally hear horses sound in the song, and Slim is basically inviting everyone to dance and so on. But Christopher couldn't do that. It's messed up. Yeah. So if you didn't know this, search about Christopher Reeves and go back listening to the song because it's gonna have completely another meaning. Then in All You Got, Eminem is asking Slim why he's doing this. And you can see how mad Slim is because Eminem is where it is because of him. Like, he wouldn't be here without the persona. He wouldn't have the status he has now. And we also find out that Eminem tried to kill Shady many times before, but he always come back. Like, he tried this in many of older albums. The next few songs, it's basically Slim Shady continuing with his album. And now this is where it gets interesting in Road Rage. I think this is the song that a lot of people may skip or not listen too close to it, but it's actually a very important one, especially because of the end. In the Road Rage, we have a few hints. First of all, keep in mind the chorus with the god of a facade. a facade is basically a false appearance.
Mm.
Then you get to this part where Slim says, "We're dyeing our hair." But when you hear this, what do you think about it? It's like Eminem, Slim Shady dyeing Eminem's hair blonde.
Blonde, yeah.
Because basically Slim Shady, it's already blonde, but it's dyeing our hair. Okay, so I think it's Slim trying to make Eminem blonde again, and Slim is dyeing his own hair brown, like Eminem has in the present.
Oh, I see.
It's because of the facade thing
Yeah.
that it's before. And it's reinforced because Eminem is saying, "You're never gonna get away with this."
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is there?
Mm-hmm.
Because just the album or just the offensive things, or
No, with
it's
the facade,
with the
he's
facade
trying
thing.
to pretend.
He's trying to
yeah.
pretend that he's Eminem,
Mhm.
and it's trying to put Eminem in Shady's place, basically. This is where all things tie together, basically. Now in Guilty Consequence 2, most of you think Eminem killed Shady at the end. I don't know why. I heard so many times like, no, it ends with Guilty Consequence 2. It's the gunshot, you hear Eminem winning, but it's not. I feel like people skip the laugh or doesn't make the connection.
But-
and it's also a dream.
Yeah, he like it's a gunshot and then he immediately wakes up. Like it's not
Yeah,
real.
yeah, exactly. After the shot, you hear Eminem waking up, and all of this was a dream.
Mhm.
And all of it until now was basically Eminem fighting Shady in a nightmare that's trying to take control over his mind because they fight each other in his own head. They're the same person. You find out that Shady actually won that battle because at the end of the call with Paul, you hear him laugh. So basically, Eminem, it's now, I don't know,
Kind of
possessed by Slim Shady, yeah. And you reinforce this by seeing that in Guilty Conscience 2, he tries to move out from the disses and halt his controversy. But in Bad One, that's after Guilty Conscience 2, it gets back on dissing MGK for reigniting the beef in an interview MGK had recently.
Mm-hmm.
So, if he would kill Shady or move over, why would he go back and dissing people after he tried to apologize for it? It doesn't make sense. In Toby, again, I think people think Marshall Kim's Shady, but the iconic thing, it's like Slim Shady was with the Jason mask and the chainsaw on the scene, on the concert or something like that. And at the end of Toby, you see Slim Shady playing the role of, not at the end, after Guilty Conscience 2, it's Slim Shady playing the role of Marshall Mathers of Eminem. And at the end of Toby, you basically see Slim Shady trying to kill Eminem. And again, you get all of this because at the end of the album, it ends with "Somebody Saves Me." So why would he end the album with "Somebody Save Me" if Slim is already dead? Or if it got rid of the Slim Shady persona? It didn't. It's basically Eminem's cry for help and his own funeral because Slim Shady took over him. And then the album starts again with Renaissance. That's Slim Shady spitting on Eminem's grave because he dies in "Somebody Saves Me." It also has a lyric lowering me in my grave or something like that. So I don't think that's
I see what you mean.
But then none of them are basically dead, literally dead, because Eminem, it's in, Slim Shady, it's in Eminem's mind, but I think it tries to say something that whatever he tries to do and how hard, it doesn't matter how hard it tries to get rid of Slim Shady, it's always gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
So
So they're like always gonna be in a constant battle.
Yeah, exactly.
But no one wins.
Exactly. I think this is the meaning of the album. It's not the death of Slim Shady.
Yeah, when you put it like this, I think we talked about all the transitions and how they're there, but I'd never thought about the last song and the first song. But you're right, it's saying lowering in my grave and then Shady spits on a grave.
Exactly.
It makes sense.
And it's a perfect loop and it goes around. And it's funny because that's why I'm saying no one is dying, and with the dying hair stuff, because Slim Shady is blonde, Eminem is brown, brown haired. And basically in the dream, Slim Shady gets brown haired because in real life, when he possessed Marshall is brown hair.
Yeah, I see.
So that's why in Road Rage, I think Road Rage is the one that makes all the connection that you need to put this together. But yeah, no one actually dies.
Yeah,
They're
it's
the
just a
same
constant
person. It's just
battle.
a constant battle, and Eminem, it's basically telling you that he can't really get rid of Slim Shady. So yeah, I don't know if this album is gonna. Some people say that this album gonna have a part two. I don't know. I feel like it ends in a perfect loop. I think the album ends in a cohesive story. So I don't personally. I don't feel the need for a part two or anything. It would be nice to have more music, but I think it would mess up the story even more.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long ass album anyway.
And it's a long ass
I don't
album
know how
anyway.
you can
Yeah,
add to it.
I don't know either. I don't know where it would go with the story. Something came and helped Marshall from his grave. I don't know. It's because people says this because there was a teaser or something with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg
Mhm.
taking someone out of the trunk of the car, and they think it was Eminem or Slim Shady
Okay.
dead, and they trying to bury him.
Interesting.
But it's basically there. That's it. But they wanted to be a feature on a song or something, and basically they're not on the album, sadly. But yeah, the album it's not meant to be played backwards. I don't know where that came from. It doesn't make any sense. At least to me, it doesn't make any sense. I've read about it, but it's not there. It's nothing there. And yeah, it's funny because the title album it's bait.
Yeah.
No one actually dies, and people are a lot of people don't get this album. I don't know. It's like just listen to it in order, try to make sense, read the lyrics if you don't get it, and yeah. Okay. Now, like, what do you think about the album now overall?
I mean, I'm more impressed by it, I guess. Because honestly, listening to it, and I don't know that much about Eminem or Slim Shady, but I could tell that he didn't actually die because of the whole waking up thing. But yeah, it went a lot more in depth. I never thought about making it a loop, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, as an Eminem fan, this is a 10 out of 10 and it's insta classic. I think for a person who is not that much of a fan, but he listened to Eminem from time to time, the album won't make that much sense. And even the sad songs are not gonna hit him
Mm.
because he doesn't really care about Eminem's backstory and so on and his struggles and whatever. And I just think the album it's a love letter to the fans. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think about the album? Tell us in the comments. What do you think about this theory? I think it's for me it makes sense. I don't know if it does for you or not, but yeah, uh, that's it for us. And bye.